And welcome to the Gored Ox Pub.
I like your enthusiasm.
I try.
I do believe we are going somewhere now.
Oh yeah? You think so?
Well, I think that we're not aimless now. I guess that would be the way to put it, right?
No, we weren't aimless. We just were zeroing in. You know, you gotta dial in the settings and whatnot. And so that's what we were doing. So I've had this book. There we go. The Writer's Complete Fantasy Reference.
That's Ben Bola.
No. Introduction by Terry Brooks. And then it has several different authors in it. So it's a... But I'm pretty sure this is the book that... Yep, there it is. Champion Country. Champion Country. Open country which in the Middle Ages in Northern Europe and England was settled by compact villages that were surrounded by their own fields. Yeah.
I get that, but if you do an internet search, it's a UN plan right now. So the current usage, the most current usage, is the one that's going to be probably thought of.
Oh, goodness.
So anyway, that's why I showed you that. It's not that I couldn't probably find that usage, but what most of the results were when I looked it up.
I was looking at it because I haven't seen, like, I literally haven't opened this book in probably decades. Like, probably not since college or a little after. And so when I was telling you about that, I was just like, did I make that up? So...
Oh, no, I didn't think you made it up, but it just, like, because I hadn't heard of it before,
yeah,
I looked it up. And by looking it up, the definition that I had found was what I linked into the Google Doc.
Right.
Which anyone that's hadn't heard the term and wanted to look it up, that's what they're going to find, right? Mm. That's the first thing they're going to find. They're going to have to dig deeper to find anything else.
All that really means is you got to make sure you give the context clues strong enough that people know what you're talking about.
Or
that's all right.
Figure out something better.
it literally was
the same task.
It was just. I mean, I literally was like, I sat down, I looked over, and was like, oh yeah, because I have a selection of books over there, and I thought I should just relook it up. That's all. If you don't like the term, I don't care. I'm not married to any of these things.
I think you're reading more into it than what I was saying.
Okay, well, I'm just letting you know. I literally was just wanting to verify my own memory.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you were wrong. I'm saying what the current usage is and what's going to be easiest to find when somebody looks that up.
One of the guys I work with today was talking about how he has this memory of finding a ball of garter snakes and his father just grabbing them one by one and just like twirling them around and slamming them on the ground and killing them. Just boom, boom, just killing them over and over and over again. And he said his father...
so I've lost volume. I can't hear anything.
What? You can't hear me?
And I didn't click the button for the window, so I'm going to kick myself off and put myself back.
I mean, it's registering that I'm talking. I can turn it up. Like that.
Now I can hear.
Okay.
That's really weird.
Well, okay, so Pencil Joe, the story is that, again, my friend was telling me at work that he has this memory of being like 4 and his father coming along, and as he discovers this ball of garter snakes and killing all the snakes. And as an adult, he asked his father about that, and his father's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. And if it had, I would definitely remember that. And
well, my daughter has a few of those instances.
Well, so all I was doing was making sure this idea of the champion country being a kind of relatively lawless area. I just wanted to look it up to make sure I wasn't completely crazy. Not that we have to use it, or I was trying to prove that I was right to anyone else. I needed to prove it to me, if that makes sense.
No, I was just letting you know that I wasn't questioning you.
Yeah.
But since I hadn't heard the term,
I was questioning me. So.
I was looking it up to see what it was going to tell me. And I had thought something. I said we had thought, it's just interesting that how many times we had mentioned the UN in our conversation.
Yeah.
That when I looked it up, it had direct references to the UN.
So, again, this book, the reason I originally got it decades ago was some of the stuff that they have in it, like, it's got a chapter on arms, armor, and armies, right?
Okay.
So, some of this stuff, like, I wouldn't know. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but, so, for example, let's see. Yeah, Kawachik. You ever heard of that? Kawachik?
Spell it.
Cuahchic. And they were shock troops of the Aztecs. Escrimador, Filipino warriors trained in the use of a straight fighting stick.
Yeah, Escrima.
You know, just different. Bastati? Or is that Hastati? I can't tell. I think it's a B. It's in italics, and I'm not sure if it's an H or a B. But anyway. Uscarl. You know, just another resource, because everyone always thinks, oh, let's run and go look on Google. Well, Google it. All right, but, you know, sometimes it's in books.
So if I'm doing a Google search or like if I reference Wikipedia,
yeah,
it's not the end all. It's the beginning. It's to get a rough idea.
Right.
Wikipedia is a lot better than it used to be.
Agreed.
Still, I don't rely 100% on it, but it'll give me an idea, and then I'll go down a rabbit hole. You know.
Right. Well, I was just really mentioning the book thing, not for you, but for anyone else.
There's a lot of books that are online now, and when you do searches online on Google, you can come up with Google Books, which will have references, pages, parts of chapters, that kind of thing.
Huh. Well, that's just interesting. Now I'm going to have to look some of this stuff up. Huh. There's this blunderbuss women and razor women. An elite force of female soldiers employed by the king of Dahomey, Africa. And the razor women, I gotta look up this weapon because this sounds, I can't pronounce it. It looks like Niekpleneto. But it's a two-handed razor which could fold into their halves like giant straight razors. So that's just cool. And I want to see one. Oh, I see how it is. Maybe I misspelled it.
Well, if you can't say it, chances are you're going to easily misspell it. At least it would be for me.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. Oh, and I did. That's interesting. Just an interesting little blade. I mean, anyway. Have you ever heard of Trabanter Guard? It's a ceremonial guard of troops composed of the henchmen and lackeys that surrounded a great man. A member of such a guard was called a Trabant.
In what country?
It doesn't say, but it does say that Trabant is from the German for satellite. So maybe it's Germanic.
Well, it's definitely Germanic, so it's probably either German, Austrian, possibly Hungarian. But if it's from a German word,
Right.
there's only so many roots, and actually German and Icelandic and all that are similar too. They're pantheons: Woden, Odin, Tyr, Thor.
I gotta let my dog out because someone locked her in my room again. I'll be right back.
All right.
You know, if you stop pushing your way in, they'd stop shutting you in, John. Busy snake. No, no, no. Oh, damn it.
Well, you've got a good mic.
Hey, it's Ephraim!
Wow. Hi, Frank.
I'm not muted, am I? No,
No,
I'm not. Okay, just making sure.
No, I was saying you've got a good mic because when you were talking to the dog,
Yeah.
I could hear you loud and clear.
Oh, yeah. Also, baby cat snuck in the. We've had baby cat for, I don't know, a year maybe. And she's been terrified to come upstairs. She's always been a downstairs cat, and she's the newest animal. So our older one, Wicket, has the full roam of the house, but baby cat always stayed downstairs. And so this week the cat came upstairs, and she is quickly making herself at home up here in ways that I don't appreciate. So
you're going to have to straighten your ass out, huh?
Well, she ran right by me and underneath the bed, so there ain't much I can do about it now. Like, I'll just have to wait. Oh.
Nothing but my head.
Oh, okay.
My mic is a good mic too when it's good, when it works. Did somebody just announce they were taking a bath?
If they did, I didn't hear it.
Well, if it wasn't over there, then my mic is really good because it's picking up stuff. That defies explanation.
Oh, baby cat, come here. Come here. Okay, run away because you're dumb. Oh, there you go. Here, let's make your appearance. And this is baby cat. Hello. She's watching the TV. Okay, girl. I can hear my dog barking.
Yep, I can also.
It's funny because I'm on the opposite side of the house. I swear she likes to go outside, and I think she just barks to see if somebody responds.
Well, I'm sure glad some people stopped in tonight. I didn't expect anyone to be stopping in tonight with Finch streaming and having Klaus Janson on there inking.
To be fair, you weren't sure I was going to be here. And originally I wouldn't have. I don't think there was no way in this lifetime I was going to get out of that
Actually, I just said I didn't think anyone was going to show up, so.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't think I was going to even. Let alone other people.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking that you weren't going to show up because David Finch was streaming.
That is true. But
That was an entirely different thing.
one of my boys was sent home because he was sick, so he couldn't swim, obviously. I'm assuming he has the flu like his mom. And then the other one, he was in the second heat. And then he was done. And I was like, well, let's go. Like I literally paid, I think, like $20. And I went in, I watched 2 races and got to leave. I was like, yeah, this is the way they should.
It was your $20 worth, huh?
That was absolutely worth my $20. I would gladly pay more if it meant those were shorter. I always think it's kind of funny because the high school I work at one point in time, was an athletic powerhouse. And, like, season tickets were something that were passed down from generation to generation. I mean, it was... That court was packed. And now, if it's half full ever, I would be kind of surprised. Especially once COVID hit. Like, COVID really, really killed a lot of people coming to see basketball. And, you know, so I'm at a school that used to be a big deal. It used to be a big school.
Yeah, Finch is streaming tonight. Finch is streaming tonight with Klaus Jansen.
Oh, yeah. Joe's like, what?
Well, so, Klaus Jansen is actually worth it, you know. He's a lot of the stuff that you recognize as like The Dark Knight, he inked that. He inked Daredevil when Frank Miller was doing Daredevil. So yeah, he's kind of a big deal.
No.
And he's showing his techniques. So
the school I was in,
I love an audience, but not for false reasons, or not because they didn't know.
But the high school where swim sectionals was tonight, that thing is monstrous. Like, it's just about like a college campus. It was huge. And it just kind of makes me laugh at how tiny my school is, and to think that my school used to be a big deal. But I wonder if I could ink.
I'm sure you could.
I've never tried it.
You've never tried to ink?
Well, not by itself, no.
If you ink your own penciling, you can ink somebody else's.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, like, I'm
Now,
kind
the
of out of
question
touch.
is, can you stay true to it, or can you define? So, what an inker does, Stanley used to call them embellishers, and I think I like that term, because they take something like this, where I could maybe scribble in, this is where I want the shadow for the chest or whatever, and then you, as the inker, decide whether you're going to do that in feathering lines, cross-hatching, or solid blacks. I mean, you're the one, that's the inker's job, is to decide what textures go in and how to put them in. Like, if you're inking with a brush, you start with a tip, and then as you draw down, you get thicker. So, like, when you see a tapered line, it doesn't go from thick to thin. It goes from thin to thick as you're pushing in. Um, but there's so many different materials you can use for inking, not to mention digitally these days. Like, say you got an iPad, so you could use Procreate to ink.
Yeah. Pencil Joe says it takes 20 years of practice to ink well.
I don't know. I was tattooing probably within a year, and I was inking pretty fucking good. Within a year, I'd won my first award, and that's inking. That's permanent inking on skin. You can't mess up there. You can't just white out over it. Tattoo is easy. Sure it is.
You can mess up a tattoo. It's all good.
Yeah. Tattooing's easy.
I've yet to see this movie. I just haven't had the time to, but it's called The Holdovers. And I've seen the trailers for it. But there's one line that just makes me laugh every time, because there's this teacher at some boarding school, and this kid's like, but I can't fail this class. And the guy's like, oh, don't sell yourself short. You absolutely can fail. Yeah. So I think it might be on...
Pretty good at it.
Yeah. I think it might be on Max. I just haven't had the time. We was swimming and then streaming and everything else. Haven't had time. I haven't been to the movie theater in months. And I have gone less to the movie theater, I think, this year than when COVID nearly shut them all down.
Now, see, the interesting thing is I think I'm going to actually go to the theater at least once this year. And that would be a surprise.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, because I want to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Not Dune?
No, I didn't see the first Dune in the theater.
Oh.
And really...
It was amazing.
Did you watch it in the theater, the second one?
Well, the second one hasn't come out yet, but I saw Dune. I saw Dune on IMAX.
Yeah, I own a copy of the first Dune, and I don't know. It's good for what it is, but I don't think anyone's ever going to get it exactly right. I don't like the people that they chose to play some of the characters. I do like Jason Momoa for the part.
Yeah.
That he was chosen for. If he would have been a little bit younger, I would have probably said Josh Brolin would have been good for the part too. Either one of them could have played Duncan Idaho. And oddly, I think Duncan Idaho is actually Irish or Scottish or something.
Joe, I have not seen Madam Web. It looked like a big giant snooze fest to me.
Actually, who was it? Somebody was just talking about they went to Madam Web and there was nobody else in the entire theater.
Because it's going to bomb perfectly.
But, like EVS was pointing out, that was the case when he went to see Godzilla -1 or +1 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
He said, so it's not whether it's a good or bad movie at this point. You got to ask yourself whether it's just people going, I can watch this at home.
Well,
because you can go to Amazon and watch stuff that's currently in the theater.
Yeah.
And if they find that they're making more that way, they're going to shut down the theaters because the theater's not really any specific to them. As long as they're making money, they're good.
Well, I just...
Most of what the theater charges you is for popcorn and soda and shit like that.
The Madam Web, I mean, first off, Madam Web should be an old lady, and she's not, and that kind of irks me. And then it's just it just doesn't look good. I mean,
EVS was saying it's a low budget, so it might end up actually earning out. I don't know. Like, honestly, that's not even a movie I was interested in seeing. So I'm not really defending it. I'm just stating what I've seen so far.
that's fine.
As in comments from people that either have watched it or have talked to people who watched it. For me, I guess it's not even Disney because it's not Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it's a Sony one.
I'm thinking you mean Maverick, right? Not like the first Top Gun.
Yeah, that'd be a while.
You'd be surprised how long it's been since I've been in the theater. Like, we were talking about it, and I think maybe 2018, 2016.
Yeah, I
think the last thing I can remember seeing in the theater was the Queen movie, the one that was about Freddie Mercury.
That's been a while.
Right? There was something else that came out that year that I saw, but I don't know if it was before or after it. And I can't remember what it was now. But I only remember a handful of movies in the last decade that I've gone to the theater to see. Like, I went to see Tarzan in the theater. We went to see Ratchet and Clank for Eli's birthday, and he was bored out of his mind. Yet he watched the entirety of Logan. Which is really odd because Logan was like a 3-hour movie and it wasn't really fast paced. And Eli was pretty much spellbound with it. And then we watched Ratchet and Clank for his birthday. Well, to be fair, he had his cousins with him, but like I don't think he even looked at the screen. It was all about what he could order because we went to a theater that was food, like not just regular. They had tables and menus and stuff like that.
Well, I'm kind of shocked because I haven't been to the theater yet this year, and used to be I would go bare minimum once every 2 weeks. Bare minimum.
When I was a kid, I used to go to the theater and watch a double matinee twice a week. But that's when I was a kid, you know?
Right. And Cat, do not be tearing my stuff up. You are in my inner sanctum in places I don't like.
You've been talking about a puppy lately, which is really weird.
Whatever.
Don't get me wrong, I really love the idea because I'm a dog person, not a cat person.
Well, I like my cat. I mean, I like my dog.
My wife was looking into dogs, unbeknownst to me, and she's the one that's a cat person and not a dog person. So maybe she's getting won over a little bit. I don't know. We've been talking about possibilities, and I really want one. Like, I've had 3 my entire life, and all 3 of them have either been put down or given to the pound or something. One of them was when I was young because nobody was around to take care of it while I was at school, and well, at least that was ostensibly the reason. Then I had a German Blockhead Rottweiler Lab and Chow mix. And he was basically a horse. Eli could ride him,
Huh.
And he bit my wife because she had him out, and then the mail carrier who runs the Boston Marathons jogged up, and when she jogged up and reached in her bag and handed the mail, the dog tried to snap at her and got my wife grabbing the mail. So he went. And then the third one was Uhtred, and he died pulling Caitlin away from a bench loaded with black widows because he had been bit on the front and the back end. And Caitlin was saying there was like thousands of them. She showed me the bench later, and I saw it, and it was crazy. Like it was a horror film. If you looked under that bench, it was just nothing but webs and black dots crawling around. But in North Carolina, they have Black Widow season, so it's not really uncommon.
Joe said he's got some buddies that want to see the Civil War movie in April, but he's out on it until he sees more of what it'll be about.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw something, but I just didn't see anything enough to be clear. What else did I see? There was something else that I saw that has a stupid ass name. I think it's got Antonio Banderas in it. And it's like a sequel to something. He's got 4 upcoming movies. Cult Killer, that's the one. That's the one that I saw that he's in. It's a stupid name, Cult Killer, but
I agree with you.
But you know, I found some good movies that have really, really dumb names. One of them was, have you ever seen the Kung Fu Killer?
Nope.
Okay, so I know it sounds like it's an absolutely stupid name, but it's a Kung Fu serial killer. So it's I thought it was a really fresh spin on your normal Kung Fu revenge movie. No, it's got Donnie Yen in it. So it's not your just normal revenge movie, but it kind of is at the same time, because it's this serial killer that's killing all these martial art masters. And that's kind of like a trope in wuxia movies, right? Where you have to fight the next level best guy to climb the ladder, right?
Right.
But this is like, this guy was denied because he had one short foot or something like that. So he's slaughtering them, and you know they're all retired masters, but he's slaughtering them. So it was an interesting spin on just not just revenge, but serial killer. And it's a stupid title, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. We've done a lot of research over the last couple of days, and Joe, this is not the comic that we were talking about working on. Just so you know, this is a different story. It's set in the future, but it's not the same story. I am not just regurgitating characters or taking what we were talking about working on away. This is just Brett and I have been talking about working on some collaborations for a while, and since you were busy, I was like, it would be interesting to put our brains together and see what happens. I haven't given up on the other story, but this is just different. There's a new Kung Fu Panda movie too.
Yeah, I saw that, I think.
All I saw about it was an ad for the cute little kids that are pretty much piranhas. So I have seen most of Mission Impossible 2. I realized that when I watched it today. But I watched it because of you keep referring to the Mission Impossible movies. So I wanted to credit it.
Who plays the villain in that one?
Douglas Scott. It's the same guy that plays the villain in Hemlock Grove. And does he play the villain in Hemlock Grove? No, I guess he plays the kind of the victim in Hemlock Grove. Famke Janssen plays the villain.
I've seen all of them.
Of the Mission Impossibles.
Yeah,
I've seen 3 of them through now, but I'm thinking I'm gonna watch. And I noticed somebody had mentioned that John Woo has a thing for doves.
Yeah.
So, like in all John Woo's movies, there's these doves released, and there's a whole shitload of pigeons. And then just before Tom Cruise busts in on Doug Ray Scott at that scene where he grabs the poison and cure, there's one dove that glows that flies out of the smoke. Like, there was no dove around there completely until that particular scene. I had never noticed that before it was mentioned, so it amused me.
Well, I think it's funny. I have a hard time watching the first Mission Impossible movie because the acting is just, when you can tell an actor's acting and you're just like, yeah, that's just not right. Like, there's just something off. And I don't think Tom Cruise was phoning it in, but it's weird. Like, he's trying to be, in that first movie, him and Emilio Estevez they kind of talk like teenagers. I don't know how else to put it. Like, they're trying so hard to be young. And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you've got to also figure that could be the director.
Oh, I know. I don't blame I don't know who to blame. And ultimately, I do enjoy the film, but it's just, man, there are scenes where that I just cringe.
Well, Mission Impossible 2 was 2000, so that was 24 years ago.
I get it. It's not that they look young, and I'm saying
No,
they act.
I'm just saying that that was quite a bit of that was quite a long time ago. If the sequel was 24 years ago, you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's just
Now you're talking about. Oh, so
I'm telling you, the character from the first
no, I'm
one to the
just trying to
second one
think.
are just way different.
Like, as far as you're talking about Tom Cruise's acting, well, Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez's acting,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to think of what I want to say about that because it's not. It is not my favorite Tom Cruise movie. And probably the first movie is what kept me from watching most of them. You know
Oh.
what I mean? Like it was, I've seen the originals, and I'm looking at this one and going, they're they're just trying to, I don't know. I just didn't dig that they were even doing it. I guess at first. So, but um, so when I think of Tom Cruise movies that I really appreciated his uh, craft skills in.
Yeah.
The number one that comes to mind is Last Samurai.
All right.
And I don't know, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but that movie, uh, he hit some emotional notes for me. I could really understand it. I could believe it. I've watched the behind the scenes footage and his co-actors, the Japanese cast. I should say Asian cast because it's not just Japanese, and I'm not really sure who was what. They were talking about how selfless he was and how much he stayed after to make sure that they were they got the ability to use facial inflections and all of that. And then I was watching Brendan Fraser? No. Trying to think. I was watching a couple of so and so explains his most iconic roles things.
Yeah.
And one of them had been in A Few Good Men with him and Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And he was saying that it was the only time that it was Kiefer Sutherland. He said the only time that he had gone in on a set and saw the main stars in early. Like he said he went in early and he was having a tea, and the whole soundstage, the iconic scene there, they were practicing that particular scene, and he said like you couldn't hear a sound. They were just breathless. And then when they finished that first take of the scene, the whole cast and crew applauded him. It was like, and then the director said, "Let's do it again." But I think they said pretty much they used that first take, but both of them went in early. Both of them were running their lines so that when time came, they could make it flow the way that it flowed so that it seemed like a real interaction. And there was no hesitations, and I just, I found that interesting. And I thought the movie was pretty good, but I didn't think it was the greatest of either one of their movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great line, but that's Nicholson. You know, he delivers that way all the time. I've said before that as much as I love Jack Nicholson always plays Jack Nicholson. He never plays like an Irish guy, or he never plays as somebody that's out of that zone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
That's
I don't
him and
dislike
Samuel
Jack
Jackson.
Nicholson. I'm not. You know, they act like he's one of the greatest actors, and I'm like, all right, I guess, but I don't.
I think he's a really good actor, but I don't think he's. I think he's Jack Nicholson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that he can put Jack Nicholson into all these roles. It's same thing as Samuel Jackson. You don't see Samuel Jackson being anything but Samuel Jackson. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good. It's the same also with what's his name? Morgan Freeman. When you watch Morgan Freeman, I mean, he may be playing a bad guy or a good guy or whatever, but it's always Morgan Freeman. It's always the same voice, the same reasoning to the voice and all that. Whereas there are other actors that immerse themselves so far into the role that they change everything for it. It's like Joe was saying about Tropic Thunder. That was a feat, because you would never expect Tom Cruise to, you know, be the role that he was there, but he did. And I'm not saying that Tom Cruise generally is someone that you could see in any particular role either, but he did pull a fast one. Eddie Murphy, he's a great character actor. He could probably blend in and be any character he wanted to be.
Right.
Jeff Bridges did that pretty good for a little while too. Like if you think about him and Tommy Lee in Blown Away, he was an Irishman. He sounded like an Irishman, or an Irishman that had been in the States for a while. When he's Rooster Cogburn, he really sounds exactly like what it is in the book. Yeah, Christian Bale does that too. Christian Bale is very good at camouflaging himself to become something that you didn't expect him to be. I remember, like, the first time I saw Christian Bale was in Empire of the Sun. Like, and I didn't realize he was anything until much later, and then I went back and I was like, oh, he's the little kid from Empire of the Sun. I watched that in the theater, but I didn't put it together. He was a little blonde kid there. It's the different schools of actors. I mean, there's actors that can pretty much be anything or anyone.
Yeah.
And then there are actors that they just show their personality. I think Mel Gibson did a pretty good job of kind of bridging that gap. Because he was always the Mel Gibson, but he could also pull away from that a little bit. I think his thing was that he knew what qualities people liked in his regular character that he could apply to all the other characters. Kurt Russell, I think he did an amazing job in Soldier. She had like 6 lines in Soldier, and everything else was portrayed by expression or lack thereof. That was just such a cool movie. Kiefer Sutherland was saying that American movie goers, the American movie crowd, are one of the only countries, moviegoers, that when they watch the movie, they literally believe that the actor is what they're playing. He's like,
Okay.
I still have people that won't come up and shake my hand because of roles that I was in. And I, like Ace Merrill from The Body or Stand By Me. Is it A Time to Kill that he was playing the white supremacist? And people are still hating on him, thinking he's a white supremacist.
Wow.
Like, you've done your role well when people hate you because they believe that you are that way. It's same thing as like Clancy Brown.
Joe said, I think it's crazy how Escape from New York is reality now.
Yeah, I checked that out, but I was veering away from that. Shit, now what was I saying? Couldn't have been anything important.
Sorry.
Oh, Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Well, everybody believed he was Byron Hadley. Everybody believed he was, the Kurgan. He's like, he said when he went for the role of Byron Hadley, the casting director was this petite little woman. And he's like, the what she wanted me to read was the most vile shit that he was saying. And he's like, I just couldn't see myself saying that vile shit. So he said he was surprised that he got the role because he had a hard time literally saying that shit to the casting director.
That's funny.
And anyone that talks about Clancy Brown, so he's got a great sense of humor and all that. We see him play a bad guy all the time, and we make that connection. He's the bad guy.
Joe said he was in a movie back in the day.
Joe?
6B Pencil Joe says I was in a movie back in the day. So that just begs the question, what movie was it?
I was in a Billy Idol video.
Oh, yeah?
Moni Moni.
Okay.
I'm a very tiny speck that falls down in the bottom corner of the screen when they're showing the amphitheater. Because I'm literally walking over these seats, and I ended up when I'm climbing over the seats to get in the front closer row, I hit this girl's ass by accident.
Yeah.
And she whopped my ass so hard. like as I stepped over the seat, I was pulling my leg over, and she hit my ass so hard that it took my leg out from underneath me, and you can see me in the bottom corner, and I go, "What?" I'm like, "That's me."
Oh Lord.
I didn't say it was a starring role. That was an interesting concert, though. The Cult was the opening band, and the bass player of the Cult paid for our tickets to go in.
Oh.
So that was pretty cool. Like there were 4 families of us living together in one place. This was 85.
Yep.
And one of them's mother was a cab driver, and she just happened to pick the bass player up and was saying that we had wanted to go to see the concert, but we couldn't afford it. And he was all like, yeah, have them show up at the gate and give their names. And we did, and we got free entry. We had backstage passes too, but
wow.
I didn't get to spend my concert in the backstage. I was spending it fleeing a gang. Which, interestingly enough, the leader of that gang was the girl that flopped my ass's brother.
Hmm.
I met Mac Davis at a 4-H fair when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
And my mom and my aunt, they had gone to see him. And of course we didn't, because we weren't going to go see country or whatever. And I think I was like 11. And after the show, because I was 11, I was sneaking around backstage, and I helped his roadies put his equipment away. And he saw what I was doing and gave me a ride. So we pull up right next to my mom and my aunt, who were looking frantically all over for me in a limo. And so I think a couple of years later, at a 4-H fair, I met maybe one of the guys from Cheap Trick, because Cheap Trick was playing it.
Yeah.
So you were in the movie with Denzel Washington? Again, I'm very loud apparently, so I'm trying to mute myself a little bit, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not talking loud.
That's like I'm trying to find. So I'm assuming No Way is the video.
What?
He said way back there. So I was in a movie back in the day, and then it says No Way video.
Oh,
Cool
because I was
video.
saying I was in the video. Maybe that's what he was saying. Joey is still here. What movie was it? Inquiring minds want to know.
Courage Under Fire.
Oh yeah, okay. So it was it Jodie Foster? No. Michelle Pfeiffer?
Meg Ryan.
Alright.
Denzel Washington, Meg Ryan, Matt Damon, Lou Diamond Phillips, Bronson Pinchot, Sean Astin, Scott Glenn. Huh. Very cool.
My cousin, Joe's brother, Steve, he was an extra in a movie,
Yeah.
and they offered to take him to Hollywood. They wanted him to be something. Instead, he chose to remain a short order cook.
Oh. Yeah, because, okay. Odd.
Yeah,
Not the-
that's what I thought too. But I don't really know what happened to him along the way, but I started drawing seriously because of him.
Yeah.
Because like when we were young, he's got a year on me, so when we were young, he drew like the Christine VHS cover.
Okay.
I guess it's just a movie poster, really. But he drew it so well that it made me go, I can do that. You know what I mean? So it kind of forced me to get better. But then he was drawing, he was into comic books, and really he's one of the reasons I got into comic books. And then he started drawing Garfield like cartoons, and then it was just playing video games, catching a buzz, and that was his world. Which really saddens me because like I offered to teach him to tattoo, and I thought, man, he could be like I if I'm almost a 200-time award winner, I'm sure he would probably have blown that out of the water. So he had a far better natural aptitude than me.
Joe said, when I met and chatted with Denzel, all I could talk about was the hunt for Red October.
Mm. Hmm.
Joe said they filmed scenes of the tank battle in a desert near where I was stationed, held audition on base, and how I got involved.
Oh, that's cool.
This part of the song always reminds me of The Walking Dead, which is a song in one of the Hitman films. Or one of the Hitman games. In the Rotterdam section. Joe said if you watch the movie, after the night tank battle, there's a morning scene where Sean Austin and Denzel saying a few lines, and he's behind them escorting prisoners, and there's some wounded soldiers in the scene too. So I may have to check that out later.
I've seen the movie, but it's been a long time.
Well, yeah, that's why I would have to go and check it out, but I think I I'm sure I can find it somewhere online.
Not going to pay for that, right?
Well, I mean, I
Well,
pay for.
I'm just being a smartass. You probably could find it on one of your, like Netflix or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. I got enough streaming services. I should be able to find something.
Did you know that Gina Carano did a post-apocalyptic flick?
No. What was it
No.
called?
Hmm. It's on one of those free channels because I was thinking about watching it after.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a bounty hunter. Scorched Earth. It's called Scorched Earth. She's like a bounty hunter.
Oh, okay.
It's on. Oh. Pluto. So it's on Tubi and Pluto. It's on free
Yeah.
TV. Like at first glance, I don't recognize anybody else but John Hannah, who was Rachel Weisz's brother in The Mummy.
Oh.
Yeah, like because I was looking at post-apocalyptic stuff to see what else was out there besides what we were talking about. To see if, just, reading the synopsis, I thought it might generate some idea flow.
Hey, Joe watched No Escape last week.
Oh yeah, what do you think? I liked it. It's another one of those things where it's not the book, but I think the decisions they made were better for the most part. Yeah, that wasn't on the book because he wasn't a soldier in the book. He was accused wrongfully of a murder in the book.
Joe said it was a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Excuse me.
And it was good enough to still hold up because I watched it the other day too when I was walking before I burnt my second treadmill out. Literally, this is the second time that I've had a treadmill that I'm walking and watching movies and stuff like that. And it starts on fire and smoking and all that.
Joe said he likes how they left the warden in the jungle with the traitor.
Yeah, and in reality, in the book, the guy that was the traitor was the same guy that Kevin Dillon played in the movie. And there was no traitor like that. But there were 3 factions on the outside. It wasn't Merrick, it was a couple of different other ones. But still, if I hadn't have seen the movie, I wouldn't have bought the book. I take it that because you're mentioning it, you haven't actually watched it yet.
Me? Nope, have not. Man, some of this, oh god, like it's better this year. The swim season was for me because Whit could drive. Therefore, like when the meet was over, my wife and I could leave. Whereas before, you had to wait around for like another half hour to 45 minutes waiting for the kids to get dressed. And it was like, God, like it was just so like however slow they were, I just so that was better. But I mean, just all the basketball games we have to go to, the swim meets, you know, if and then you throw in the streaming, like there's just my actual job. Most of the time, it's like I don't get to start watching stuff until summer, and then I'm like, all right, it's summer, I can watch a few things, and then I do, which is kind of why I like going to the movies, because once you're there, and there's nothing else to do but watch the movie, and everyone else is there to watch the movie, supposedly. So
probably not everyone.
Well, that's true, but at least a little bit. But so it's just one of those things where, like, I've paid for it, so I need to sit and watch it, and if I were to stop watching it, I've wasted my money. So I don't have to feel guilty about watching it. Whereas if I try to watch stuff at home, a lot of times, for some reason, like I'm like, oh, I could be writing, I could be, doing something else. Oh. Oh. Joe said, "How I am. I struggle to sit and watch something these days." Yeah, like I was gonna start watching. Oh, I think it's a Tom Clancy franchise. It's on Netflix. No, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, so like Jack uh, Jack Ryan
Yeah,
with Krasinski.
yeah, that was it.
The first season
And
was pretty good.
well, I watched maybe one or two episodes, and I think maybe I've only just watched one. And it's not that I was bored or that I didn't like it. It's just I was like, oh, I don't have time for all this. Which,
Well, yeah, you have to watch the whole season. It's like Reacher. It's each season is one story.
right, and that might be why. Like I watched all of Reacher, seasons 1 and 2. Well, I watched 1 when it came out, and I watched 2 when it came out. And I used to watch a lot of the, like I was excited for Disney Plus because I wanted to see, they were promising the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and that was a turd. And
Well, they kept their promise.
eventually, they kept delaying it too. I mean, they were just. Although Andor was good, Andor I thought was fantastic, and
But it sounds like a plot device. And/or
well, it's the character's name, but I mean, it was for me at least. I thought. I mean, I just think it was really interesting. I would say it had some of the best characters in anything Disney. There was one of them that I swore to, like, it's kind of implied he's a Jedi, sort of, but he's not, and I really liked the idea. I was like, you know what? It would be kind of cool. I know they're kind of trying to set him up to be a fallen Jedi, but I'm like, it would just be cool if he was a Sith. Because, like, he should be, the Sith get jealous and angry, and so therefore, I know there's the rule of 2, but what if there was, they break that rule all the time. So what if there was another Sith who sees Palpatine getting all this power and is jealous, which makes perfect sense for a Sith, and he's the real reason why the rebellion ever formed, because the Sith guy was just jealous and wanted it for himself. I don't know. It was neat. I loved it. Joe says, I was sick 2 weeks ago, and while recovering, I watched Blue Eye Samurai and actually liked it.
I liked it all except for the end and the gay stuff. Well, no, so let me qualify that. The reason that the gay stuff wasn't important. It wasn't key to the story. It was just thrown in to be gay. And the ending wasn't an ending. Instead of the bad guy being, I don't want to give it away, but instead of the ending that you were expecting, that it promised the whole time, there was an alternate. And it was a weak excuse for an alternate. But other than that, I really like everything else, like the series and the way that it played out, except for a few minor details and the actual ending of the series ending, the finale, the season finale. That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. When I say that I had the problem with the gayness, is it's not that it's the Chinese and Japanese in their cultures don't have that distinction, don't care. So that's not why it mattered to me. It mattered to me because it was thrown in almost for shock value. Like there was one scene where there was a menage a trois, and then there was another scene where a girl was doing something totally ungirl-like to a guy.
Is it in a Deadpool movie?
No.
Okay.
Blue Eye Samurai.
I know. I'm saying the thing that the girl was doing that was very ungirlish.
No.
Because there's some
All right,
stuff
so
that goes on.
Hold on. I'm going to put it in the private chat.
Oh, okay.
Just so as to not give spoilers.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, there was two of them that was supposed to be sharks, and I wasn't going to give that away. So
Yeah.
I was going to tell you, and I did tell you if you look in the private.
Yeah, I see it. Which
is basically something that happens in the first Deadpool movie.
No, it's not.
that's kind of close. I would say the position of the device is about the only thing that's different there.
I would say that there's quite a bit different. Just because something is inserted rectally doesn't mean that it's the same.
Okay.
And it was a shock scene. And what happened in Deadpool is, I don't know, that was for shock value, like me, myself, and Irene.
Yeah.
Except for they didn't show it, me, myself, and Irene.
Well,
but that
I'll
scene
have to
had
take your word
that
for it.
scene had absolutely no necessity to be in that movie or that series, except for that shock value. Which, your mileage varies. Like mine, that's not my thing. I don't want to see that. Didn't want to see that.
That's like, you know who Drake is, right? The music artist, the rapper. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who it is. That's
Okay.
about it.
So apparently, there's some video going around, and my students are all talking about, have you seen the Drake video? Have you seen the Drake? And my boys were talking about it. I was like, what's going on with this stupid video? Because I'm smart enough not to just necessarily go look. And so they told me what it was. And then it was kind of funny because my students were asking if I had seen it. And I was like, isn't that the one where there's a snake and just twirling it around? Because there's this Australian video that got released where a girl grabs a snake by the tail and spins it around and around and around and around because it's trying to eat her guinea pig. And, you know, centrifugal force keeps the guinea pig from being consumed until the father can come along and rescue it. But it's basically what the Drake video is as well. It's just there's no guinea pig.
Okay.
Just makes me laugh. Okay.
Maybe there's something more to it than I'm getting out of what you're saying, but
Well, I started saying that when you get done peeing, you should call that when you shake it a little bit, that should be called your Drake. Because that's basically, he's just flopping his dick along, and he's just whipping it around, and decided, I don't know if it leaked, which I'm like, if you take a video and you're famous, you know it's getting leaked. Like, you should just assume. So, I always think these things are intentional, and yeah, he's
probably was a bit
flopping it around. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to go see that.
Right.
And my students are all like, have you seen it yet? I'm like, no, and I don't want to. I don't need to. I don't know why you guys are all just staring at it.
Because they're kids. Curiosity.
I know. It's just funny because here it is. It's a video with. It's just a guy flopping his dick along, and the girls don't want to watch it. It's the guys that are watching it. No, Joe, I was not talking about a music video. Which is what my students keep. For the kids who don't know what it is, they're like, oh yeah, it's a music video. You should go look it up. And no. It's not a music video. Have you seen Baby Cat? That means she's probably hiding in here because she was on the bed.
Why are you being so loud?
Does I have headphones in? No.
I suggest you get up and find your cat.
We can hear her.
I can't, actually.
We can.
Well, everyone can hear you, but I can't hear you because I have headphones in.
And that's probably why we're loud. Because we have you have earphones in. I have over the ear headphones on.
Get out. She's under the bed.
I gathered that you were going to bed.
The cat
The cat's under the
is
bed.
under the bed.
No, everybody knows. Very loud and clear.
I cannot crawl down there and get her.
I can.
and she can't crawl down there and get her.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, in the spirit of making crude jokes, my son knows how to grab a pussy. That's what he did.
Bum.
Just reached under and was like, "That's it, cat," and now the cat is gone. Oh yeah, that's so much darker.
What?
Well, remember that light you suggested I get?
Oh, yeah. That's
So I
because
got-
you can dim it and you can control the light.
Right. So I got it, and once she goes to bed, I try to keep everything on as much as I possibly can on night mode, and because otherwise, if it's like, especially if I have a document open, all that white is just super bright. So having the that directional light on, we can still see me, and it's not, I don't think it's anywhere near as overpowering as it used to be for my wife.
Does she still have a cold?
She has the flu.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why she's coughing so much.
I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but
Uh-oh.
there's this. Do you know there are crystals in your ear that affect your balance?
Just behind your ear is your equilibrium.
Well, so anyway, there are things you can do to reset the crystals. Like if you're having vertigo, which she is, and like some of the treatments for it are just, they sound terrible. And apparently my wife way back in high school actually had it done. And I'm like, all right, whatever, that's weird. But she's, so like last night she did this thing where it's supposed to help like reset the crystals. And I'm just like, you're crazy.
Was it burning a wax funnel?
No, it has to do with like turning your head and then in holding it, and then you slam back on the bed as fast as you can, and it's supposed to, I don't know. There are instructions. It's weird, but I'm just like, there are ear crystals. Like, that was the part that was just, I'm like, I understand your balance is controlled around your ear, but
Yeah, maybe she's confusing equilibrium.
no, I looked it up. There are definitely crystals. And
No,
that's why
that's a new one on me.
yeah, I had never heard of ear crystals either, but it's a thing.
Apparently,
It's
you
like-
were just saying that.
I just, you learn new things all the time. But that one was definitely just a little weird.
Gives a new meaning to the dark crystal.
Joe said, I've seen something, I think it was Chinese therapy, about massaging behind your ears to reset things in your body.
Yeah, that's your equilibrium's right behind your ears. You can feel it. It's like a cluster of, like almost like a wrist, a cluster of little bones, but it's not. It's cartilage,
Right.
I think. Yeah, that's what I was thinking she was talking about.
So, okay, so I've looked this thing up again, and it's called the Home Epley Maneuver. So, the Home Epley Maneuver is a type of exercise that helps to treat the symptoms of benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, also known as BPPV. And you can do this exercise at home. BPPV is caused by a problem in your inner ear. Your semicircular canals are found inside your ear. They detect motion and send this information to your brain.
Right.
The utricle is a nearby part of the ear. It contains calcium crystals called canoliths that help it detect movement. And sometimes these crystals detach from the utricle and end up inside the semicircular canals. When these crystals move inside the canals, they may send incorrect signals to your brain about your position, and this can make you feel like the world is spinning.
Yeah, our son Logan has tinnitus in his ear canals.
Yeah.
Just another condition in the ear canal.
But yeah, it's definitely something that I was just she's telling me this. And not only do I'm like, seriously, ear crystals? Sounds like some kind of nasty earwax problem, but it's not.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. Does she burn wax funnels? That's
But I'm
what
like-
it does. If you burn the wax funnel, it sucks the earwax out.
Supposedly, but I think
No, my mother-in-law did it a lot. Like, she did it on everybody when she found out about it. And yeah, it does work.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So not only was I just confused by ear crystals, but then I'm like, wait, you had this treated in high school? Your brother drove you? Because then I'm thinking, wait, if your brother drove you, we were dating. Not her brother and me, but she and I were
Yeah,
dating.
I didn't think you were talking about her brother and you, but thanks for clearing that up for the audience.
I mean, he's a lovely man, but not really my type.
He's a lovely man. She's a handsome woman.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just it just altogether left me a little confused.
Yeah, that's the new one on me. And clonking my head again. It's got to be good for something.
Gonna knock your ear crystals loose.
Well, I do have the padded over the ear earphones on. And I'm hitting the top of my head, not my ear.
Hit it hard enough. It'll work.
I guess we have to all have goals, right? So I'll scan this on, turn it to blue line, send you a digital copy to print out, and you can ink it.
I'm just thinking. I mean, the thing with the inking is that. I mean, I have formal art training. I've obviously, like, I have done portraits, like good portraits.
Brett, if you want to try inking,
You know,
you don't have to
I'm just
explain it. You can just try inking.
right. I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that I think it would
It actually would make it easier for me if I was just penciling and then co-writing and maybe doing lettering and shit at the end.
Oh, somebody's getting busted.
And that's the importance of panels, because now it's starting to look like one scene with two different characters in it.
Joe says he can't draw tonight. Why can't you draw tonight? Is it just like it's just not working for you, or is it like
You know,
you're forbidden? I don't know.
you know, it's comic book artists normally do what they call warm-up sketches, and some of what I've heard is that they do warm-up sketches because they want to know if they can do it that day, and some days you're on, some days you're off.
See, that's why. That's one of the major reasons why
For me, I just don't care if I'm off. Like I'm screwing around. I'm just trying to, get some ideas out, and by trying to get ideas out, I don't care how perfect it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is all subject to change, every single bit of it, until we say this is it.
Well,
This may end up being guards.
the idea though that some days you're on and some days you're off. That's why I decided. That's one of the reasons why I decided I didn't want to be an art teacher, because I had thought about I felt like I was good enough I could do that profession. But I was like, yeah, but there are days where I can't draw a stick man, and those will be the days where I have to demonstrate, how to draw a stick man. I'm just like, I don't know. I felt way more secure with my writing than I did with art.
Well, I'll tell you, and maybe it's just my opinion, but this is what I found after drawing being a custom artist in the business I was in for so long,
Right.
you could have better drawing days and worse drawing days, but you couldn't have no drawing days. And I don't think it was possible for me to have a no drawing day simply because I drew so often. Like it wasn't a matter of thinking about whether or not I can do this today or whatever. It was grab a pencil, start making shapes, and fit it to whatever it needs to be. Joe, that's like why I start with this loose pencil. I mean, and I'm not telling you anything by saying this, but by starting with this loose pencil, I'm not committing because it's not a fine point, so I really can't commit. So none of this is perfect, but it's enough to get the point across. There's a story going on here. You know what I mean? You could use this and create a story from it, just from this picture. So, like, I'm just laying out ideas, and if you give yourself the freedom to just be laying out ideas, it takes a lot of the weight off you. I'm not expected to be perfect. I don't care if anyone thinks it's perfect. And, you know, that's probably not the attitude to do while you're online, but really that's the only kind of attitude to have when you're designing.
You've drawn the Drake.
It's the only kind of attitude to have when you're designing something. You have to let yourself be who you are, do what you're doing. I'm just trying to lay out some ideas. I'm just trying to see if it visually looks good to me. We were talking about a setting. Do you see the setting here? Do you feel like that setting is here? Like, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can feel what the era of the setting is, right?
Yeah.
And that's my goal. My goal is to telescope an idea. It's to do a sketch that gives me a feeling of where I'm supposed to be, or whether this is right for what I want to have it look like. I never expected it to be perfect in the first place, you know. And if you go into it thinking, oh, it's got to be perfect, then you're defeating yourself from the get-go, because nothing is perfect. I learned a long time ago when I was tattooing to not draw to be perfect, to draw to like what I see. And to not stop drawing until I like what I see. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just have to like it. You don't have to love it, I just have to like it. Most of the people that I've tattooed can tell you that my theory behind designing a tattoo is designing a tattoo that I would want to wear. So I have to like it. I've actually been thinking a lot about what style I want to employ. Whether I want to employ a very serious style, a very simplistic shape style, whether I want to do the feathering lines and scroll lines and stuff like that to try to be perfect or to try to be sloppy, because I kind of like some energy in some of the sloppy stuff. Everybody worries about being so neat because there are, like Jim Lee, and Will Spataccio is not so much anymore, but he used to be very Jim Lee-like, where it was very line-oriented. And now it's not so much. It's more scribbly. Even Mark Silvestri over time, if you look at his early stuff, he was really aping John Buscema. And then he started changing the way he feathered in and out of blacks. And now you don't see him do a whole lot of blacks. It's all a lot of scratchy, scribbly, quick stuff. And it's an interesting style. It makes you look at it. He's a really good artist, and it shows through because he doesn't care about the style. And I think that's how you create those new styles, is you don't care about aping somebody else's style. I mean, you learn from what there is, but you only take what's necessary to achieve the look that you're trying to achieve, not to achieve somebody else's look. I'm waxing philosophical here, but like I like certain looks that I'll never really be able to do. I like them, but it's not in my boathouse. But I don't want it to be in my boathouse. I'm not trying to copy somebody else. I just want to tell a story in an interesting way. For every Jim Lee copy, there's a Sean Gordon Murphy. For every Todd McFarlane copy, there's Ivan Reis. I can't imagine Sam Keith trying to copy anybody. He's got his own style, and it shows. Mike Mignola, when he first started, he was kind of copying some of the DC artists and stuff, but the eyes were too big and too far apart. And then when he started shorthanding stuff, which is the style you see now of Hellboy and all that, he really came into his own because he created a style that you recognize what's going on by the shadow and light more than anything else.
So Joe said the guy that gets copied often and can be difficult to tell copies from an original artist is Joe Mad.
Oh, I think Jim Lee is copied way more than Madureira. But yeah, I mean, he was copied a lot, but he came after. Rob Liefeld was copied a lot. McFarlane was copied a lot. But McFarlane, like, he came in drawing what he had to draw to get in, but you could always see that he had this cartooniest style anyway. And he never let that really go away, and he exploited it the first chance he got. For a while, everybody was copying John Buscema, because that was the Marvel look.
Joe said I was just pointing out Mad copies look like Mad drew it, but with someone copy.
Huh?
What was that?
I don't know. I'm not really sure what it means. Maybe it's the way you read it. Let me see. Oh, Mad copies look like Mad drew it. Because he's got a simplistic style, you mean. And he was copying manga, so he was employing manga with an American style, like Chris Bachalo and there
I
are
noticed
certain.
that kid Tomic Art is trying to draw like Joe Mad now.
Tomic art? I don't know if that's necessarily. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I can definitely see some of it, but sometimes he's David Finch like, sometimes he's Joe Mad like. So I think he's taking David Finch's advice and aping a style you like until you get the high points that you like of that style down. And I'm not going to say that's not a valid way of doing it, but so the artists that stand out, the ones that everybody's copying their styles, they stand out because they didn't copy someone else's style. They did what they did. Bill Sienkiewicz, he's not copying anyone's style. Yeah, he started off kind of with the John Bogdanove, Jack Kirby stuff, but a lot of people did. And then Neil Adams. Just the same as Bernie Wrightson started off as a Frazetta copy. He didn't end up as a Frazetta copy, and he really specialized in what he specializes in. Joe Jusko really, really liked John Buscema, and he aped his style for a little while, but if you look at Joe's work, it is not John's work, it is Joe's work. So he kind of went off onto his style too. And every single artist that has a style that's copied did the same thing. They created their own style. How many people you know that say they love Mignola? And like you're saying, copying Madureira. Madureira employed some stuff, but he didn't copy anyone to get there. I think it's too easy to call people copies and not realize that they are starting to learn to come into their own. Like, I love Frank Miller's work, and you're going to see that I love Frank Miller's work in my work, but I'm not a Frank Miller copy. I love John Buscema's work. He's my number one comic artist of all time, but I'm not going to copy. I'm not going to dead out copy anyone. Dale Keone. That cracks me up. Dale Keone. Eric July called him Dale Keone because he was all upset with Dick Masterson's crit. I guess he's still pissed off about, like, 6 months later about this one critique. He just can't let it go. But what did Dale Keown start off as? Who was he copying? Anybody know?
I don't.
I do because I've heard him say it.
No.
John Byrne. And for a while, everybody was copying John Byrne. John Byrne he broke away from the Buscema style. So Dale Keown is definitely not John Byrne anymore. He's not a copy of John Byrne anymore. His early work, his first work, you could see that he was almost outright copying him. And the information that I'm imparting, I got from him. So it's not like bad talking him. He's up there on my top 10 list too. And Frank Miller, I love Frank Miller for his storytelling abilities. Because when he draws, he doesn't draw for perfection, which is what I'm talking about right now with this and with you saying you're afraid to whatever. Frank Miller is not trying to be perfect. He's not trying to get it perfect. He's trying to tell a story in enough of a believable way that you turn the page to see what happens and you believe what happens. And I'll tell you, like, everybody recognizes Sin City, but he did Holy Terror, and everybody, all the critics panned it because it was after 9/11 and he was expressing some deep-seated feelings that he was having over Muslims and Palestinians, and what's going on today is pretty similar. And he expressed that in his story, and he did it in such a harsh way. The art is really scratchy, and it's meant to appear scratchy and beat up and rough and not pretty. Nothing is pretty about it. And it's not meant to be. There's nothing meant to be pretty about it. And it's so visceral because of it that instead of these people recognizing that is true art, he affected you. He made you disgusted. He made you sick with what you saw, whatever. That's true art. You don't have to like it. It has to move you to someplace. And it definitely, Holy Terror did definitely move people places. A lot of it is to hatred against him, but he fully achieved artistic reality right there, in the fact that nobody could stand what they saw, whether they couldn't stand it because they thought it was hate mongering or whatever. It did move them. And it's a hell of a lot more moving and affectating. I don't know what the proper word is there. Than a piece of shit on a floor or some glasses glued to the floor. Right?
Right.
He is telling a story. He is making you look. He's literally making you look at ugly stuff. Stuff you don't want to look at. And I get that offends people, but he was offended too with what happened with 9/11. So, who's more valid? So I'm more interested when I'm reading a comic with the art having the ability to drive me forward in the story. Because a comic book, like a movie, like a novel, isn't about how pretty one page is, or how pretty one frame is, or, even how pretty one note is if you're thinking about music. It's about driving the story forward, about propelling you into some place that you are not. Some place that may not be comfortable. Some place that actually may make you feel more comfortable than the real world. It doesn't have to serve one particular purpose, but the art has to propel you forward and the story has to propel you forward, right?
Right.
Like that's my rule for a book or a novel too. Is like if I can't read it, if it doesn't make me want to turn the page, or I'm going really, I don't want to read it. Right? It doesn't. It fails. It doesn't succeed at its duty. Space trash?
Space trash.
He uploaded today and it was very dramatic. Oh. Okay, that is likely. You're talking about Tomic art. If you watch, Tomic's been around for a while, and he was very, very regular on the Finch streams. And when Finch was streaming regularly, his goal was to basically follow Finch's blueprints and his tutorials. So if you were, watching back then, you'll see a lot of his stuff seems like it's a Finch copy. Like, Jay Fabek was a Finch copy for a long time. When he first started, he was literally aping Finch. And then he kind of separated off later on. Same thing with Jazz Singh. He had learned from David, and you could see the David in all of his work. So, I guess that's 2.5 hours. It's about 11 o'clock.
Okay.
This sketch is finished. I fib. I'm probably going to go in and make these boots the same as those boots, but I don't feel like doing it right now. I have a little goofy. Sometimes that happens after 3 hours in the type. So I'm in the stream, but I can talk to you for a couple minutes afterwards.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging out, Joe. It's been a while. It's been a while since you hung out. It's been a while since we've had any steady. Well, Ephraim hangs out pretty often, but I don't know if he's actually hanging out or just showing up to get the numbers up or something. Because I think he goes to school right around the time that we're streaming. Because he's on the other side of the world. But. And Joe, feel free to DM me if you want to discuss anything. All right, so I'm going to end the stream. I say, as usual, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, whatever, if you've done any of them. Let us know if you like the way things are looking. Because definitely that's what we're talking about doing, is something that's going to be generally public later on.
Yeah.
And good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace.